But that's a misconception. And we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about what it means and what the truth really is. So I'm going to ask y'all's attention for tonight. It's going to be good. And I got stuff to give away, so that's going to make it even better. Well, let's bow our heads. Let's get into this. Dear God, I thank you and I trust you. Dear God, I trust you. And I trust that through you and your love, we can experience change. It's in your name we pray. Amen. Derek, would you take the lights back on for me? Alright, so tonight I got some stuff to talk about. And the first thing, I feel like most of you aren't. But we're going to start with the fact that Pastor Aaron is a nerd. I know, crazy. Pastor Aaron loves Star Wars. I am ridiculous about it. It's fantastic. It's my favorite. Now listen. Hey, Victor. As a picture. David, if you're turned around, you're probably not paying attention. Alright. So, I really enjoy Star Wars, it's fantastic. And did you know Star Wars has a gravitational pull? And do y'all know even what a gravitational pull is? A gravitational pull is this. The Earth has a gravitational pull, meaning it pulls stuff towards it. Meaning if I drop a pack of gum, it falls. Juan, I don't want to ask you to leave, but I will if it continues. So we're talking. And the reason I can tell you that Star Wars has a gravitational pull is because of this. My mom, whenever she was growing up and all that stuff, she was introduced to Star Wars. And she fell in love with it. And so whenever me and my brothers and my siblings were growing up, she showed us it. She showed us Star Wars, and almost all of us fell in love with it. And we started pulling towards it, and we watched everything. We'd read the books, we'd watch every movie, every show. We got into it. We'd have the lightsabers. We'd have Jedi names. We'd get into it. But then, I'll ask later. But then, we got married. I know, crazy. My wife has never seen Star Wars until she met me. Now she's seen every movie, every show, and loves it. She's been to the Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland, and she loves it. And my brother and his wife did the same thing. My sister and his fiance, or her fiance, my sister's fiance, this summer was introduced to Star Wars. He loves it. He's just eating it all up. He bought a PS5 just to get the Star Wars game. He's loving it. And even my sister, Diamond, who's never liked it, she's now with someone who deeply loves it and is slowly being pulled in. Star Wars has a gravitational pull because we are influenced by it. Because it was there when we were kids. It was there when we were growing up. It was always a part of our life. And we were influenced by it. Now, tonight one of the things we're going to talk about is the difference between a thermometer and a thermostat. Everyone say thermometer. Everyone say thermometer. A thermometer is something that measures the temperature. You on your phone, when you open the weather app, it'll tell you the temp. That's a thermometer. It tells you, it reflects the temperature of what's around it. And a thermostat, you might see thermostats at your home. They're the little things that you turn button and you make the heat go up or turn on the air conditioner. A thermostat changes the temperature of the room, where a thermometer just reflects and responds to what's going on, reacts. And here, the reality why I bring this up, not only because it's cold and you need to know how to work your thermostat, but because you are called to be a thermostat, not a thermometer. So many of us react to this environment around us. So many of us are just moved and shaped by the things and the people around our lives. Like if someone's not paying attention, you'll start messing around, and then it grows and grows to more people. Where some of you actually choose to do something different, and you set the tone for the atmosphere. Let me give you some examples. If I'm yelling at Josiah, and I'm just yelling at him, getting angry at him, what is the reaction you probably would assume from Josiah? He's probably going to react, Zayden. He's probably going to react and yell back at me, or he'll shut down and be like, oh, I'm not listening. And maybe you've been yelled at by your parents or guardian, and you're just like, oh, I don't even want to listen to you, and you slam the door. And you react to what's going on. Or maybe someone's gossiping about you. They're talking crap. And maybe some of you going to react. Some of y'all going to square up. Some of y'all going to, nah, you can't talk to me like that. Guys, some of y'all going to react and let people, what they say, define you. You're going to let the environment around you change who you are. Where God calls us to something different, He calls you to be a thermostat. And what that means is you change the atmosphere around you. You set the tone for people to watch. You set the tone, it goes with anything. If you're at home and at a Christmas party, you have the opportunity to set the tone where if you want to have fun, you're going to be the person who encourages people, has fun, all that stuff. Where also you could set the tone in a different way. If you're at a Christmas party and you're just angry, quiet, you just know you got a bad attitude, it will shape the people around you. People will start having a bad time because you're having a bad time. Or people will start having a good time because you're having a good time. Boys? We're not called to react to situations, we're called to reshape them. One more warning. You're called to reshape the surroundings. Now, there's a show called Ted Lasso. I'm not sure if y'all seen it. Fantastic show called Ted Lasso. And it's basically this. There's this American football coach, and he gets hired to go to England and become a soccer coach, also known as football. And he becomes his coach. And here's the situation around him, boys. Here's the situation. Everyone hates his guy. They hate him so much. The fans hate him. They call him horrible names. They treat him badly. His team and his people he's coaching don't like him. They treat him horribly. His boss actually hired him so he would fail. Everyone is unwelcoming. Everyone is unloving. He's getting the worst of the worst. People talking trash. People hurting him. The media's tearing him down. They're just hurting all they do. And how most of us would react is we'd get angry, we'd talk crap back, we'd tear each other down, we might even just get up and leave, which I think he had very much a good excuse to. But he doesn't. Ted Lasso actually goes into this time of when people treat him with hate, he would respond with love. When people would like, dude, you're the worst, I hate you, he's like, you know what, thanks for the feedback. He just responded with love and patience and kindness in every situation. Even when he found out that his coworker, his boss, had hired him to fail, his first thing to do was forgive him. Every time he had a bad situation, Tony, every time he had a bad situation, he responded with love. And now, this show has 3 seasons, and in 3 seasons, his intentional behavior of loving, being kind and patient towards all people, including the ones who treated him horribly, changed an entire community. After 3 seasons, he went back to America, and the whole people around him had changed. The coworker that had hired him to fail was his best friend. The team that had hated him now loved him and loved each other. And then even the crowds, the fans, they grew to know Ted, and they grew closer and loved him and supported him and cheered on the team. He left, and the entire community had changed. It was absolutely different. Now, what does the Bible have to say about this? Jesus actually, he goes on this long, and I encourage those who'd like to, if you want to, I encourage you to go look at the whole passage, Luke chapter 6, verse 27 through 31. Luke chapter 6, verse 27 through 31. But we're just going to take a little bit out of it, okay? We're going to look at chapter 27, verse 27. This is what Jesus is challenging his people. Boys, Tony, guys, I don't want to move you, but if I have to talk to you again, I will. This is what Jesus said how we should be dealing with people. But to you who are listening, I say, love your enemies and do good to those who hate you. Love your enemies and do good to those who hate you. Jesus is saying 2 things right here. He's saying, 1, some of you guys aren't listening and you're going to miss it. So those who are listening, those who are paying attention and getting what God's got for him, or you or her, here's what he's got for you. For those who are willing to listen and be changed, love your enemies and do good to those who hate you. Which is so bizarre. It doesn't make sense. It kind of feels scary. Why should I love the people that keep talking trash about me? Why should I be kind to the people that hurt me? And the reality is God believes in this. If someone hurts you and you just hurt them back, it's just going to be a cycle of hurt. But God challenges you to break the cycle. Please put your phones away. God challenges you to break the cycle and be something different. If you love your enemies, it will have an impact on them. If you just hate them and hurt them, they will not be changed. Example. If someone gossips about you and your reaction is to go gossip about them, do you think they're going to change at all? Hey? Do you think they'll change at all? No. If you if someone comes and talks crap about you, and you start talking crap about them, is it ever going to end, or is it just going to get worse? If someone comes and squares up to you, and if you fight them and hurt them, what does that prove? You're tough? What does that prove? It literally is just hurting each other. They hurt you, you hurt them, you prove nothing. You just cause more pain. Zayden, would you be willing to come sit up here, please? So do good to those who hurt you and who treat you horribly. And then I do say this. This doesn't mean give people the opportunity to abuse you. If you are being physically, verbally, or emotionally abused, I'm not saying go let it happen. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is removing yourself from their ability to hurt you. Because it just feeds into their same thing. But you can still be loving and forgiving while still being safe. Here's another thing that Jesus says in a couple verses. In verse 31. Do to others as you would have them do to you. So this is it. Do unto others as you want to be treated. If you want to be treated right, treat others right. Anthony? No. If you want to be treated right, treat others right. This verse does not say, do unto others as people do to you. If they yell at you, you can yell at them. If they hurt you, you can hurt them. That's not what the verse says. It says be different. And if you want to be treated with respect, treat others with respect. If you don't want people to turn and stab you in the back, don't stab people in the back. If you want a loving and Christ-like relationship with someone, don't be looking at something else. Don't be talking to someone else. Don't be messing around. What you want in your life is how you should be living. It shapes and changes your community. And because tonight we're talking about the word influence. Because Star Wars had a big influence on me. Shows and movies and places can have an influence on you. Hey guys, stop messing with me. Just things in your life have an influence on you. And when you see an influencer on TikTok or anywhere else, what you usually see is an influencer who's doing something different. You see someone who's actually they're challenging the status quo, or they're encouraging you to be different or greater or funnier or whatever. An influencer is someone that challenges what's normal and sets the tone to make something different. And Ted Lasso is a great example, but his example comes from somewhere else. His example actually, quote, crazy enough, comes from Jesus. Jesus continually loved those around him. Jesus was hated, gossiped about, betrayed, beaten, even killed. But he never responded with hate. He set the tone for the atmosphere around him. Even to this, another passage is John 13. And in this, John 13 is a great moment because it's just before, 24 hours before Jesus passed away, before he died, before he was betrayed and killed. So these are his last moments. His last moments together, and he wants them to be something special. So he's eating with his best friends, having dinner, having a great time, eating it up. And here's what he decides to do. And we have in chapter 13, verse 3, we see this. Jesus knew that the Father had given him authority over everything, and that he had come from God and would return to God. So he got up from the table, took off his robe, wrapped a towel around his waist, and poured water into a basin. Then he began to wash the disciples' feet, drying them with the towel he had around him. So this is what this says. Jesus, realized and knew how important he was. He knew he was the Son of God. He knew that he was above all. He was the King of Kings. He was amazing. He knew all these things. And then he decided to do something different. Anthony, I'm going to ask you to come to this front chair right here, please. Now, I've given you multiple chances. Thank you. Listen. He knew who he was, and he chose to do this. He got down, he took off his robe, got a towel, got water, and he washed his disciples' feet. Guys, and their feet were disgusting. They wore sandals. They're walking around the dirt all day. Their feet were disgusting. This was a job of a servant. This was a job of the lowest of the low of people. But God, knowing who he was, Jesus knowing who he was, got down, took their feet, and he washed them. He set the tone for the evening. And he actually says this in a couple verses later. In verses 14 and 15. He says this. And since I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you ought to wash each other's feet. I have given you an example to follow. Do as I have done to you. He didn't just do this as a fun activity.
Someone gonna wash your feet?
He didn't just do this. He did this so the people around him would learn something. He did it so you can see that it's not about people treating you right. It's not about doing to others as they want to, as they're doing to you. But it's about loving others. Even when they don't deserve it. Even when they don't deserve it, you're called to love. And be serving and helping those around you. And the reality is, Jesus went and he ministered and he preached and he healed the sick and he loved people for 3 years. And in 3 years, his intentional behavior of loving, being kind and patient towards all people, including the ones who treated him horribly, changed an entire world. It changed the world. It set an atmosphere where we're not called to be selfish. We're not called to focus on me. We're not called to just focus on making sure I'm good. But we're called to love the unlovable. We're called to love those who hate us. We're called to be kind to those who are rude to us. We are called to speak up for the hurting and love those around us. And the reality is, when we do this, it will shape the world around us. So you and your community, you and your friends, You have the ability to set the temperature of your friendship, of your home. Your actions can change the people around you. Because the thing is, if you treat other people horribly, if you talk crap, if you distract people during church, the people around you are going to look up to you and do the same thing. If you're gossiping, if you're hurting those around you, if you're treating women like they're less than and they're like objects, the guys around you will do the same thing. But the same goes the other way. If you start to speak life towards people, the people around you will be changed. If people are talking down to you, but you respond, like they're talking crap, and you're like, hey man, are you okay? What's going on that you're hurting so much? Maybe if someone's talking gossip, instead you say, you know what, I think they're doing a great job. I think they're awesome. You start speaking life no matter what they do. Maybe if it's someone who's abused you, maybe it's the reality of coming to forgive them. Not allowing them to hurt you again, but forgiving them and moving on. Anthony, please turn around. You are called to be something different. To encourage your friends. To live a life that's different. And I will say that goes for in here too. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but the reality is when we come in here, this whole thing is for us to worship God. For you to grow closer to Him. If you come in here and you're talking, distracting your friends, if your focus is not God, it's going to affect the people around you. Because not only you miss out on worship, or you miss out on what God has, the people around you. Where if you make the active choice to listen, or to sing, or to be quiet during worship, you open the possibility to be changed, to be shaped by God. I believe in you guys, and it's weird, it's hard, it's not going to be easy. But you are called to be different. You are called to be different. When we love others as Christ did, it affects everything around us. The misconception that people don't change is stopped whenever we find out that we started by loving. People are changed by how you act. People are changed when you stand up for what's right. People change when you love. Dear God, I thank you for today. I thank you for all that you're doing, and I thank you for the teens that are here. God, I want your spirit to fall. Right here, I want your spirit to fall. I thank you. I trust you. Let these teens begin to be shaped and changed by you. We trust in you. Let this community be something that lives and loves each other. So I name we pray. Amen. All right, so I got some stuff to give away. All right.